In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Every now and again, I don't know about you, but I get really busy, and I like being busy. My wife has diagnosed me, despite my resistance to being a workaholic. I love working. I love what I do. I love being with people. I love caring for people. I love it. But, all of us, I think, when you work harder and harder and harder and harder at whatever it is you do in life, it's easy to maybe lose sight of the purpose. And then I'll work harder and harder and harder. And, it's funny, like the more I do, the more there is to do. And I'll get busier and busier. I'll be sleeping less. I won't be eating as well. I might stop working out for a bit, just for the next couple of days, and so on. And then after a while, I find myself miserable. And I find myself asking myself, what's it all for? And why am I doing this? And what's the purpose? And what's the meaning? And my life is purposeless. And my life is meaningless. And we find ourselves disconnected. And a lot of the time I get phone calls from people at that time when the house of cards comes falling down, and we're like, why am I even doing this? I don't need to do this. I don't have to do this. Why am I doing this to myself? And the moment we disconnect from our purpose, from our meaning, from our reason, the moment we start to lose, it doesn't make sense anymore. Whether you're busy or you're not, whether you're busy or you're bored, when you disconnect from meaning, from purpose, it doesn't mean anything anymore, right? It doesn't, right? And interestingly, we had a beautiful conversation yesterday in our community dinner. We have wonderful conversations around the dinner table. This one lady asked me a beautiful question, and I started sharing with her a little bit of what I want to share with you today. Jesus tells a story, right? He tells a story. He says, I'm going to tell you a story about a landowner. He had a vineyard. He planted a beautiful vineyard, and he leased it to vine dressers. He told them, work in my vineyard, and when come vintage time, right, I'm going to send somebody to come and collect the wine. So they say, sure, right? And he goes off, and I don't know how much you know about growing grapes and vines and all this. I love going to the Niagara region, going on wine tours, and taking all of these stories that Jesus tells and trying to understand them deeper, right? And, if you plant a vine today, you're not going to see wine this season, right? It's going to take several seasons before you're growing enough reasonably sized big, fat, juicy grapes that you're going to be able to even get a glass of wine out of them. So when he planted this vineyard and leased it to vine dressers, he probably came back looking for wine a decade later. Most likely a decade later, before he was hoping to collect on a few barrels of wine, right? So in that decade, right? The story doesn't say it was a decade, but it says some time. But knowing how vines grow and how all this stuff works, it wasn't one season, it wasn't two, it was a while, right? And so the vine dressers, they got comfortable. Basically, in plain old, 2022 English, they were squatters. They figured, master's gone. We haven't heard from him in a decade. So, I guess it's ours. Then shows up a servant 10 years later saying, master saying, you've had plenty of time, where's the wine, right? So what do? They're like, what wine? It's our wine. They probably got a little bit of wine up to then, but they hadn't gotten a full harvest and a full vintage by that point, right? So they had tasted some of the fruit of the vineyard, but it doesn't belong to them. But they think it does, because they've just been there squatting for so long, right? So they beat him senseless and send him home. Get out of here. So he sends another servant. They beat him up too, send him home. So he sends another one. They beat him too, send him home. So he sends his son. He says they're going to respect my son. Come on now. So the son comes, and they're like getting the message now. Like, we thought this was ours. We thought, I don't know, he went off to some far country. Maybe he died in a shipwreck. Maybe something happened to him. We haven't heard from the guy in a decade. We don't know what happened to him, but this land is ours now, they're thinking, right? And now he's coming back asking for the vintage. I guess the master is good and healthy, to our disappointment. I guess he's okay, right? And they think to themselves, hold on a second. This is the only son of the master. If he dies, land's ours. So they kill him. And Jesus asks, what will the master then do to those vine dressers? Right? And he ends the parable there. And everything that Jesus says has multiple interpretations. The interpretation given in its time, when Jesus was talking about his time, he's talking about how God gave us this earth so that we could use it to come back closer to him, right? And over time, we just figured it was ours. And he sent humanity the law and the prophets and many people. And what did they do? Most of the prophets got either beaten up or killed. And then he sent his only son. And what did they do to him? What will they do to him? Jesus is kind of prophesying through this story, which is actually in the book of Isaiah as well. They kill him, right? That the land might be theirs. What's the problem with these vine dressers? There's something derailed. Like they took the job, they signed the job agreement, they came, and then they were doing good, and somewhere it derailed. It derailed when they lost their purpose. Their job was to take care of this vineyard, to make wine for the master. But it derailed. They started making wine for themselves. Right? And so my question to you today, Jesus' question to you today, is who are you making wine for? And your answer for me is, I don't make wine. I make software. I make, architectural drawings. I make legal agreements. I make great food for other people. Okay, fine, you don't make wine. Who are you making it for? Who are you making it for? If the answer is the client, that's not the answer. If the answer is myself, then I'm like the vine dressers, right? Something has derailed. And the moment we derail from our truest purpose that really identifies with our very essential being and who we are in our deepest inner selves, we know something's wrong. And all of a sudden, the hard work we're doing just doesn't mean anything anymore. So what is that deep inner purpose? Well, let me share with you. To understand that, we're going to need to go back to the Garden of Eden for just a couple of minutes. Bear with me, right? God creates Adam and he puts him in the garden. And then by this time he had created all of creation. Whether you're a creationist or you understand this as myth and so on, doesn't really matter. It matters to me, of course, yes, but for what I'm saying now, don't get hung up on the word creation, okay? So, Adam is in the garden with all of these other created beings, right? And God tells Adam, name them. Name them. So Adam goes about naming them. But this is the important thing. He didn't look at the lion and see, well, it has a big mane, a huge roar, okay, and I think that looks like a lion, so I'm going to name it Lion. No, that's not how it played out. The lion was a creation, and Adam gave it a name. By speaking, he gave it a name. You shall be lion, right? And in naming it, he didn't just give it a name so that it could, go get a driver's license and have an identification and have a name. No, he gave it a name that gave it an identity, a purpose, a meaning, a destination, a fulfillment. He gave it who it is, an identity. The word in English, in ancient Greek, is logos. Logos could be translated to many different things in English, and it will help us to understand that when Adam spoke a word, he gave logos to the lion. The word logos could be translated word, like I'm speaking a bunch of words right now. It could be translated like logic or reason, like I'm a reasonable person, I'm logical, I'm making sense when my thoughts connect together in a reasonable fashion, reason. Or the other meaning of the word reason, the reason I'm doing something, purpose, meaning. And you see all these three meanings are tied together in one word, which is logos. So when Adam gave logos to this created being, it became a lion. He didn't create it out of thin air. God created it out of thin air. But God gave to humanity the role, the extreme high dignified role of ordering creation, of saying, you will be the king of the jungle, you will be the giraffe, you will be the elephant, you will do this, you will do that. And by giving it a name, he gave it reason, he gave it purpose. He ordered creation by putting things in order and giving them a sense. Why? So that Adam could be at the helm of this ship, which is all the created order, to lead it all into the worship of God and connect it, keep it connected to its life source, literally the source of life to it, which is God. And that was Adam's role in creation. He was the maestro who was bringing together all of these different wonderful musicians in a wonderful symphony to praise and to worship and glorify God. And then what happened? He ate from the tree, he flipped God the bird, so to speak, said, I'm going to do what I want, I'll do me, you do you. Right? And disconnected himself, the one who was supposed to be leading all of humanity into deeper connection with God, to keep it alive, immortal forever, because he is the source of life, disconnected himself and thus all the rest of creation from God, and death entered into the world. So Jesus, the second person of the Trinity, his nickname is the Logos of the Father, the Word of the Father, the reason, the purpose of the Father, comes as the second Adam, as the new Adam, to reorder our messed up creation, our messed up world, to come and be the new Logos, the new reason, the new purpose, to reorder creation and bring it back, realign it and bring it back, get it back to drive in its lanes again, realign it so that it can be again for the worship and the glory of God. These vine dressers lost their logos. They lost their meaning. They're no longer hired vine dressers. They think they're landowners. You see, their name changed, at least in their head it did, not on the title deed, not in reality, not in truth. That's the problem. That's the problem, is that all of a sudden, I start to think that my occupation, my role, my place in my family, whatever it is, whatever identity that you've given yourself, I am a father, I am a husband, I am a priest, I am a this, I am a that, has become, that identity is for me. They are vine dressers. For who? For them or for God? What do you do? What do you do? That's not going to change. I'm not hoping that from the moment you walked in this door to the moment you walk out, you're going to suddenly throw it all away and become a monk or a nun or something. That's not what I'm hoping for. I'm not hoping that we're all going to change, myself first and foremost, the what. Whatever you're doing last Monday to Friday this past week, you're probably going to be doing it again tomorrow morning. Okay? What I am sincerely hoping for myself is what's going to change is the why. And with the why changes the how. If you are in the service industry and you realize that I'm no longer doing this for a paycheck, I am the beloved child of God, God's not going to let me go hungry. Yes, I have to work. It is therapeutic to work. God has given us work as therapy for our condition. Yes, I have to work, but I don't go to work to earn a paycheck. I go to work to meet people, to be with people, to be the light and the joy, the salt in those people's lives. I might only interact with them for 30 seconds, 3 or 4 times, but I go to work for that one purpose. If I could bring one smile on every single person's face who walks through the door, that will be one smile more that person has had than they would have had if I was disordered, if I was no longer walking in my real meaning, my real purpose, my true name, my real identity. That's the purpose of this parable. That's the purpose of this story. let's ask ourselves, why do we do what we do? We're so busy doing. I'm so busy doing that I lose sense of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I read a story yesterday which illustrates a little bit another reason why we might not want to reorder the vineyard, right? 2 monks in the monastery. One monk passes by the gardener monk. He says to the gardener monk, he says, "What a beautiful garden you and God have planted here." And the gardener monk looks at him and he says, "You should have seen how good of a job God was doing before I got here." Right? It was a mess. It was this. It was that. And so on. Right? Sometimes we look at our work. Right? Sometimes maybe you're a business owner. You took it from a startup to a multi-million-dollar business. Maybe this, maybe that. And you think to yourself, God is good, but let's be honest. This is my hard work. This is me. This isn't God, right? So the other monk answers him, right? And this is what I need to hear. We all need to hear, right? You might have ordered it, right? But you didn't give the seed the capacity to grow. You didn't cause the rain to come. You didn't cause the sun to shine. You didn't give life to these plants. You didn't teach them how to grow. You pruned them. You ordered them. God brings things into your life and mine so that you can, by His logos, by His reason, bring order to it. An order that would cause it to glorify God. I'll finish with this. Jesus says this. He says, "You are the light of the world. You are the salt of the earth." He says, "Let men see your good works and sing your praises and start a fan club for you and send you fan mail," right? That's what Jesus said, right? No, of course not. Let them see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. Glory be to God forever and ever. Amen.